everyone, and Happy New Year. Man, it's been a while, but Oda came in and brought this New Year in with a fire motherfucking chapter. Like, I can't even front. Like, Oda popped the fuck off on this chapter. I'm so hyped to get to the review. I don't think I'm going to be able to review it as long as I want because I woke up late, but I don't care. Like, everything about this chapter was A1. This was like an S plus chapter and a phenomenal first chapter to have of the year. And I'm just like grinning from ear to ear because of how phenomenal it was. This is Otaku Talk. I'll be reviewing and analyzing chapter 1037 of One Piece. If this is your first time on this channel or you've been here before, I would really appreciate it if you could do me a solid, drop a like, drop a subscribe, would mean the world to me. Also, for YouTube or whatever robots they have going, I will be using clips and stuff from the manga. I protected by fair use, and yeah, that's my disclaimer until I get a more professional one. Anyway, without much further ado, let's get into this review. Chapter 1037 of One Piece, Sharan Hake, if that's how it's pronounced. So you guys know how I love my cover stories, and we've been without a cover story for quite some time now. So the last cover story we left off on was, the Germa 66 Judge and his kids fleeing Whole Cake Island. Looks like they got away. Looks like they're safe and sound. In this particular cover story, looks like they're back at what I assume to be their castle, even though I think their little like snail ships or whatever kind of had castles on them, so maybe they're still on those. But I would like to imagine that they're back in the Germa kingdom. I would like to imagine that they were followed that far out, as you can see from the damage to the like castle walls. And based upon what it says with Judd sighing, it seems over, right? Like normally people do like a heavy, a hard, a long sigh once, the culmination of like something, tumultuous, like strenuous, like once that's complete. So it seems like the German 66 are back and chilling. I'm also looking forward to possibly seeing them again later on in the series at whatever point the Grand Fleet and we have our big fight against either the world government or maybe, Blackbeard, if he turns out to be the big bad of the series, right? But I really do look forward to their hope. I think their interaction with not only Sanji but Luffy has shown them like their way isn't the right way. And the more stories they hear about, the Straw Hats adventures, the more they'll believe in Luffy and possibly come to his aid. So yeah, the name of the chapter is called Sharan Hake, and apparently it translates to Drunk Dragon Bagua, or in Chinese to Famed for Booze. So I think that's really cool. I think it's awesome how Oda really loves his wordplay and his puns. I'm honestly super jealous of the fact that I don't read or speak Japanese because I feel like I'm only getting such a finite portion of the series by only knowing English. Like even with the Spanish translations, like Sawyer 7 does, right? Like certain languages use like context clues within like their conjugations and how they're written. And so like Sawyer 7 will always be comparing the Spanish versions to English versions too. I think he even knows some Japanese, the Japanese versions. And based upon knowing different languages and knowing like structured languages, you can get more clues than meets the eye from Oda's work. And that's kind of what blows me, because there's this really awesome YouTuber named Artur who knows Japanese inside and out and breaks down like the kanjis and like the specific meanings of words and how they can have double meanings or triple meanings, and like just that alone has helped him to understand so much of like the secrets of One Piece. And I truly think if there is a YouTuber that has discovered what the One Piece is and a majority of the plot, I think it's him, and I'm awfully jealous about it. But anyway, I'm segueing. Let's get back into 1037. So we have the Fire Festival basically coming to its end, reaching its conclusion, which for me is Oda's way of telling us, okay, all of this is about to wrap up shortly. because after they get one time of year to enjoy, celebrate, and then it's back to the grind, back to their arduous lives, right? And for me, it doesn't for the new Dawn to show up. Luffy needs to beat Kaido right here. This is the perfect time for them to do it after this celebration. I forget if I said this before, but I thought it would happen a little earlier. That way, there's this whole fire festival and they could celebrate after, because we know how Luffy and the crew like to party, drink, and celebrate with the people after. So it doesn't look like that's gonna quite happen. Maybe we'll just have another party the next day, but I'm very curious about that. Um, it's really, really sad. It kind of just it's a moment to remind you of what's been going on with these people. And you see as they're writing their wishes on these lanterns, like, oh, I want my mom to come back. Shit, is never gonna happen. So I'm like, somebody please tell this kid there's limits to the wishes. We have one woman writing. There's she hopes that there's food for the kids. So you feel really bad. You feel sympathetic and stuff like that. Something that really got my attention was the fact that they're using lanterns. And what I'm thinking is when they inevitably get the lanterns lit and floating up, they're going to have to see the freaking giant island hovering above them, right? They're going to have a bunch of lights. Not only are they going to have lights, but they're actually all going to be simultaneously looking up in the sky. And so I think that, the sudden realization of what's happening is going to dawn upon them, and it's going to create a panic. And that's when the stakes, everything that Oda has set up, is really going to start running rampant. So anyway, Kaido decides to start turning the fuck up. He's chugging some, I'm going to assume it's sake, because why not? And Luffy is kind of upset at this. He calls him out on it, and I love that he did this. He was like, "You better not make an excuse that you're drunk." And I'm glad that he said that, because it feels like it's Oda's way of talking, like using him as a dialogue for the reader. Because I know the One Piece community. I'm part of the One Piece community, and I probably would have said the same thing. Like, it's kind of not fair. Like, Kaido was drunk. Imagine if, like, no, Oda like set that aside like right now. He was like, no, Kaido's like, I don't get weaker when I'm drunk. In fact, I believe that's what the name of the title of the chapter is all about. Basically, he's using a drunken fist style of martial arts of well, I'm just gonna call it martial arts. And so this is just getting drunk as part of that. And I'm not gonna say it makes him necessarily stronger. I assume so, but the main point we have to all understand is he's not getting weaker from this, right? So also on top of that, I really like the fact that yeah, he says it doesn't weaken him. It appears to be some form of drunken martial arts, and he says he acknowledges Luffy's strength, which anyone who reads manga, anyone that watches anime knows that means that like the person you're challenging respects you. It's akin to like, hey, what's your name? But he knows Luffy's name already. But it's that kind of spiel where it's like, all right, no, I'm actually taking you as a challenger. I'm taking you seriously. I view you as a competitor, as someone on let's say equal footing. I know that's a dangerous word to throw around in One Piece, but he's someone that Kaido is willing to put 100% of his effort into fighting, and that speaks volumes for like how far Luffy has come in this series. Also, the fact that he's just excited that he's like, no one has seriously challenged me to a 1v1 in quite a long time. Like, he's actually happy about this, so that was super cool. But Luffy has gotten way stronger himself. He takes on the full brunt of a what I assume to be a stronger version of his regular Ragnarok, which is this drunken Ragnarok. And he's able to spring back pretty quickly. Before, when he got hit by this, he was knocked unconscious. I think this is the move. I literally think this is the move where Kaido dropped him off the floating island after he got hit. So for Luffy to have recovered quickly from that, yeah, it's showing a super quick evolution in his character and his ability right now. Kaido starts crying and he for some reason is back in his full dragon state. I'm wondering if he's doing this, just because he's drunk, if he's doing this to kind of flex, if this is a taunt. But yeah, he's back in his full dragon mode. Luffy, uh he's crying about, you know, the castle being in like dire straits and how long it's going to take to build, which to me is a little bit disrespectful because to me it kind of speaks to, all right, this is a good fight and all, but I'm going to win. And then after I win, okay, like, what am I going to do in it? For me, I'm just like, hey, bro, you don't know if you're going to win yet. Luffy's still up and at him. This isn't the time to be worrying about like other things. Like, focus on this now, unless that's, of course, Oda's way of telling us there's something important with the castle. But I don't see that at this current point. Anyway, we get after this, we get the most spectacular, phenomenal, amazing sequence of action panels that I can only dream of seeing in the anime. Like I'm probably going to be the moment I find out this chapter has been animated, I'm definitely watching it. I'm not gonna wait for the One Piece because like I need to see this like happen. Oh my god! Like reading the series of like the action panels and whatnot felt like I was watching a film. Just how like the way Oda was able to draw this and it was phenomenal. Anyway, after the Ragnarok, Luffy isn't fucking around anymore with getting hit and finesses the hell out of Kaido with this amazing dodge while simultaneously having his foot caught back. So he runs at Kaido and dodges one of Kaido's ability, but the whole time he runs at Kaido, he has one of his legs elongated and stretched out. And then once he gets in front of Kaido, you know, Kaido's expecting like what I would assume is a punch. And then Luffy just ducks down and snaps back his leg and cracks Kaido in the face. It is a clean as hell hit. It lands perfectly on Kaido's face, and it appears to use Conquerors as well. And so I'm like, Jesus Christ, yo, Luffy is not fucking around. Luffy is doing his thing. That's my boy. And so right after that, you know, even though it does, you know, hit Kaido, does kind of knock him back, Kaido uses his tail to grab Luffy's foot and then swings Luffy towards his head to headbutt him. Luffy, you know, headbutt king over here. Luffy's about that action, headbutts him as well. They clash because they're both using Conqueror's Haki headbutts. They don't quite touch, but they're both kind of sent reeling back. However, it does appear that, you know, Kaido's headbutt was more effective than Luffy. Luffy even exclaims that it appears Kaido's Haki is getting stronger. I kind of find it interesting that his ambition seems to have gotten stronger even though he's drunk. You know, we know that being drunk is kind of something that lowers your inhibitions and like your thought process and stuff. So for it to for I don't know if I'm attributing it to the to being drunk. But you would really think that being drunk wouldn't make his Haki, his willpower stronger. But hey, you know, that's just how it goes. I'm okay with anime logic in this degree. Also, I have to mention how I'm loving these drunk phases Kaido is going through, like sad drunk, crying drunk, angry drunk, all that stuff. Like just parts of the fight. Like this is one of those moments in the anime that I would be okay with them like, you know, stretching out and playing with because like, oh, this fight is going to be honestly amazing. Honestly amazing. And I like the fact that we're getting to watch Kaido and Luffy go full on. Like it's not one of these panels where okay, like Kaido does a move and like Luffy's like doing Gatling, whatever. Like we've had them going back and forth. Don't get me wrong, but like this is completely different than anything we've seen. Like this is like Luffy almost on like I want to say complete equal footing. They're using combinations of named attacks and unnamed attacks and just going back and forth at it, panel after panel after panel, and it is just spectacular. And we are finally getting to witness like this fight in its entirety. And like this is the kind of fight that I have been like thirsting and lusting after this entire time. And it's just so nice to get it. It's not an attack here or there. It's a full-on onslaught using both named attacks and wild attacks, and it's just makes for a beautiful story. Anyway, we see I believe a new move from Luffy called Rock Gatling, which we saw a new move from him. I want to say either last chapter or a couple chapters ago where he used Rock Gun, which I want to make clear I'm pretty sure is different from Red Rock itself. So I really want to get more exposition into this rock based attacks. We also see a new move from Kaido. It's called Gunbari Meteor, which apparently translates to Prime Dragon Army, or maybe Prime Dragon Army Meteor Shower or something like that. Luffy proceed. So you know they're clashing, they're fighting. Luffy's fists are hitting Kaido's Kanabo, and then during one of the panels, Luffy blocks the Kanabo's hit to land his own, and once again catches Kaido slipping. This time kicks him in the gut, and you can really see the visible damage that Luffy has sustained on him. Like in the panel where he gets hit, you just see like Kaido's like whole face just go like, yeah, that really, like, he really got him in the gut. And then you see like the panel later where it seems like you can see the whites of his eyes. I know he didn't really pass out or anything, or it could be from him being drunk, but yeah, you see his eyes completely white, kind of looking like, you know, how he might have gone unconscious for just a second. And then you just see him coughing up. You see so much blood coming out of his mouth. Like, this is a legit ass hit that Luffy got on him. And so I'm just over here like, yes, get him, Luffy. Like, I am hype as all hell. Like, this fight is popping the fuck off. And like I said, based upon what's happening below them in Fire Festival or not, I think we're starting to get to the climax, the culmination of everything happening, right? So yeah, honestly, for me, this chapter could have ended right then and there. I was perfectly fine with it ending there. I felt like we had gotten so much. I was reading, I was like, holy fuck. But no, Oda's the GOAT. Oda said, I'm not fucking done snapping yet. And then we get panels with the Gorosei after the reverie, right? And I'm kind of sad because they completely, like Oda says, we're not talking about that right now. They completely skip over the events of the reverie, what happened to Sabo, what happened to Vivi. So all of that is completely ignored. That's put on the back burner in lieu of some more important news. They're planning to erase a nuisance, right? So off the top of my head, I just assume it's Robin, because in that same, literally in that same panel where they end up talking about erasing a nuisance, they're talking about Nico Robin and her being captured. But it kind of seems to me that they don't necessarily want her dead, right? Like, there's this big whole thing where she's like the only one that can read poneglyphs. I don't believe that. You know, we have the whole three-eyed tribe thing. You know, we might have some random samurai from Wano that knows how to read the poneglyphs. We might have some other random character that knows how to read the poneglyphs. But as far as we're concerned, we know that, you know, even if there are people, Robin is one of a few. And I can only imagine how worthwhile it would be for the world government to have her, to force her to read for them. But, you know, why wouldn't someone like Vegapunk know? Now, Vegapunk's knowledge and stuff kind of more stems into, you know, science and technology, but he is a genius at the end of the day. I wouldn't be surprised if somehow during his numerous studies, reading the poneglyphs is just something he's learned. But my mind initially jumped to Robin, but then I started realizing, no, this could be any manner of people. After that, I was like, maybe who's who, right? And I mainly think who's who because of what happens later on in this chapter. But who's who used to work for CP9 or CP0, one of those two. He was in charge of transporting the Gumu Gumu no Mi. And, you know, based upon what we find out later on in this chapter, it might be a way more important, bigger fruit than we anticipated. They could be talking about X-Drake for all I know, with maybe possibly knowing about Sword and finally being like, hey, let's take care of that while we're at it right now, because they've been a thorn in our side. They've been doing things in secret. We don't know what they know. We don't know what they've been doing. We don't know what they've discovered in Wano. So maybe they know about X-Drake. Who knows at this point? Oda did it entirely, completely intentionally. So, like, what's going on is up in the air for anyone. They go on to talk about a certain devil fruit, and immediately I'm obviously thinking Luffy, the Gumu Gumu, everything we learned from Who's Who, that it was protected, all the theories going on about his awakening, what it could be, how it wasn't affected by the Goro no Mi, and just so much. And so I'm thinking, all right, what is Luffy's fruit actually special? Maybe it isn't the rubber fruit, because as I said in other videos, you know, it's really interesting that devil fruits a lot of times can be just concepts, right? Like, you have the concept of time, you have the door fruit, you have the operation fruit. Like, those are concepts. They're not things that exist in like just the world. So like, there's just not doors out there. So for there to be a door fruit is really weird. So maybe, you know, this whole time, you know, Luffy bouncing back maybe it's the, I don't know, the tenacity fruit, and the way it manifests itself is via being rubber, because rubber is one of the most tenacious things. But like, who knows, right? Who knows? Another thing I thought, someone on Reddit made me think, hey, it could be Brooks fruit, because Brooks fruit makes no sense, because it's called the revive Nomi, right? It's the revive fruit, but he's able to do things with his soul, travel with his soul. It seems to deal a lot more than with just reviving the user. Now, a good argument that I did see on that same thread was the fact that, hey, most people never got to use that ability in that part. For all they knew, all it did was just give them a second chance at life, which is a fair point. But I wouldn't be surprised if this is the fruit they're talking about too, because clearly there's much more to Brooks soul fruit than meets the eye. And then there's one particular person I'm gonna wait to say, because I thought of her right after this part. So there's a scene where you have the world government agents waiting outside of Wano, and one of them's looking up and he sees like a dark cloud. He says, "Is that an island?" And I'm freaking out because I'm thinking, all right, what could it be? What could it be? What could it be? Um, Part of me was like, could it be a sky island? Could it be, does anyone have like a flying ship or some sort? But the main thing I kept saying to myself is it Zunisha? Is it Zunisha? Is it Zunisha? It was fucking Zunisha. I was right. For anyone who's been watching, I've been for a long time now talking about how I truly feel that there are going to be other parties that show up on Wano. I was right with the world government showing up. Well, I said the Marines world government, but tit for tat, more or less, same thing. My other big guess was Zunisha. The Minks owe both the Straw Hats and the Scabbards. The Minks were looking for the remnants of the Whitebeard crew, as well as the fact that they just have a rich and tied, sordid history with Wano. So I just thought that this might be something that would come to fruition. And on top of that, the other two parties that I'm still kind of waiting for are the Revolutionaries. I've been kind of caught up on Liquor Iron Ore. I'm just gonna let go of that. Kind of like how people want more, just to let go of the raid failing. I thought Liquor Iron Ore was going to be a much bigger part of like this story, and it just literally has not turned out to be. I don't know if Oda forgot or Oda just doesn't give a fuck, but the revolutionary armies were interested in that for a while, and the weapons that Kaido possessed. So I thought that they would show up on Wano to get that, and I also thought it would segue really nicely into, after this arc, them joining up to possibly go save Sabo and Vivi. So who knows? And then I thought we might get Blackbeard or Moria, so that he could get some form of revenge against Kaido, because Kaido was the one that like eviscerated his crew, completely destroyed his dream, is the reason that he doesn't want humans on this crew, so he doesn't get attached and stuff like that. And then you have Blackbeard, that I'm sure knows about or wants whatever Kaido is hiding on Wano, whatever like is the reason Wano is his base, as well as the fact that there's a big rumor going around that Blackbeard is going to collect the strongest devil fruits of each type, and maybe the strongest Zoan devil fruit would be Kaido's dragon fruit, right? So a lot of theories. But anyway, because of Zunisha being here, another thing I thought about was maybe the devil fruit they're talking about is Otama's. Now, part of me is like, how would they know about Otama's devil fruit? But CP0 has been relaying information back and forth with Rob Lucci and them. And so for him to say, I don't know, man, all of a sudden all these gifters and animals changed against us. Maybe someone put two and two together and was like, oh my God, the whatever fruit that can control animals is there. Maybe it's the same fruit that's controlling Zunisha. I've been wondering forever who Sharingan Zunisha. Maybe it was the awakened user of this fruit. Maybe the awakened user of this fruit used it to control, I don't know, sea kings and mammals and whatnot, and got them to bring, how Wano is a collection of different islands. Maybe use these kind of giant beasts to bring these islands together, and that's how Wano was formed in and of itself. I released a video saying Otama the Tyrant, and kind of the moral and ethical nature of her devil fruit and its ability. Also, it does have a really docile name, the Kibi Kibi Nomi, the millet fruit. Like, it just talk about millets, but has no reference to its actual power, which is controlling animals. So yeah, man, there is a lot of exposition in this chapter. It was fucking fire. I am so hyped for the next chapter, which is sadly going to be, we're gonna skip a week. Oda's gonna be on break, but I'm okay with Oda being on break after dropping this super hot fire that he gave us. I have to go now. I got work and like everything's dying on me, but I would really appreciate it if you guys would like, share, and subscribe. This has been Otaku Talk. I'm your host, OD. Did you like any of my theories today? What do you think's going on? Did I miss anything? Who do you think is the person that they want to erase from history next? Why do you think Zunisha or the Minks are here, or both? This might be another opportunity for Momo to communicate with Zunisha. Uh, and yeah, let's just leave it there for today. Take care. Have a great week. Peace.